Welcome back. Today we will learn about the issue that's about to shake Salem to its very core as darkness literally and figuratively descends upon our beloved characters. Rachel's psychological deterioration accelerates. With Kristen DiMera now imprisoned at Statesville following her false confession to protect her daughter, Rachel Black finds herself spiraling into increasingly dangerous psychological territory. The young girl's emotional state has become a powder keg of suppressed trauma, guilt, and rage that threatens to explode at any moment. Rachel's behavioral patterns have evolved from typical childhood rebellion into something far more sinister and calculated. Mental health experts within Salem's medical community are growing increasingly concerned about her psychological profile, noting disturbing signs that suggest she's not merely acting out but actively planning destructive actions. Her dreams and nighttime activities reveal a troubling pattern of premeditation that goes far beyond normal childhood coping mechanisms. The separation from Kristen has intensified Rachel's feelings of abandonment and betrayal, creating a perfect storm of emotional instability. Her previous threatening behavior toward Ava Vitale demonstrates her capacity for psychological manipulation and intimidation tactics that are shocking for someone her age. These early warning signs now appear to be escalating toward more direct and potentially violent confrontations. Buried memories surface with devastating consequences. The most explosive element of Rachel's current crisis involves the gradual resurfacing of memories from the night she shot E.J. DiMera. These traumatic recollections aren't emerging naturally but seem to be triggered by specific environmental factors and emotional stressors that are becoming more frequent as her support system crumbles. Rachel's connection to that fateful shooting runs deeper than anyone initially suspected, with evidence mounting that her actions weren't impulsive but were the result of carefully calculated revenge against E.J. for exiling her beloved grandmother Rachel Blake. The young girl's rage over E.J.'s betrayal of family loyalty may have been the catalyst that transformed childhood anger into deadly intent. Medical professionals familiar with Rachel's case worry that complete memory restoration could either provide therapeutic breakthrough or trigger a complete psychological breakdown that puts everyone around her at risk. The delicate balance between protecting her mental health and ensuring community safety has become increasingly precarious. Collateral damage threatens innocent lives. Perhaps most alarming is the emerging threat to Rachel's pregnant teacher, whose condition makes her particularly vulnerable to the emotional and physical chaos surrounding Rachel's deteriorating mental state. This educator, who has experienced multiple pregnancies and understands the fragility of expectant life, now finds herself in the crosshairs of a child whose capacity for violence has been dramatically underestimated. The school environment has become a pressure cooker where Rachel's unpredictable behavior patterns could manifest in ways that endanger not only her teacher but potentially her unborn child. The psychological stress alone could trigger complications, while direct confrontation or physical altercation could result in tragic consequences that would forever alter multiple families. Educational administrators are quietly implementing emergency protocols while trying to maintain normalcy, but the underlying tension continues to build as Rachel's episodes become more frequent and intense. The delicate balance between providing support and ensuring safety has become increasingly difficult to maintain. The secret's revelation approaches critical mass. The week of September 15th to 19th promises to be the breaking point where Rachel's carefully guarded secret can no longer remain hidden. Multiple sources suggest that the truth about her role in E.J.'s shooting will emerge through a combination of recovered memories, witness testimonies, and potentially Rachel's own confession as the psychological pressure becomes unbearable. Brady Black, Marlena Evans, and other family members are positioned to become the first recipients of this devastating revelation, setting up emotional confrontations that will ripple through Salem's interconnected family networks. The timing coincides with the town's blackout crisis, creating a perfect storm where personal revelations merge with community-wide emergency situations. The convergence of these dramatic elements, Rachel's psychological breakdown, the power grid failure, threats to innocent lives, and the emergence of buried secrets, promises to deliver some of the most shocking and surprising twists in Days of Our Lives history. As Salem prepares for its darkest hour both literally and figuratively, fans can expect revelations that will forever change how they view one of the show's youngest but most complex characters. Part 2, we will learn about the explosive developments surrounding baby Tesoro's mysterious paternity and the web of secrets threatening to tear Salem's most prominent families apart. Steve's desperate plea for help. The morning sun cast long shadows through the blinds of the Salem Police Department as Steve Johnson paced nervously outside Commissioner Rafe Hernandez's office. His weathered hands trembled slightly as he clutched a manila folder containing documents that could potentially shatter multiple lives. The veteran investigator, who had seen his share of family scandals and buried secrets, found himself in an unprecedented position of moral uncertainty. When Steve finally knocked and entered Rafe's office, the tension was immediately palpable. The usually confident former ISA agent appeared uncharacteristically vulnerable as he settled into the worn leather chair across from Rafe's mahogany desk. The office, decorated with commendations and family photos, suddenly felt suffocating as Steve struggled to find the right words to begin this delicate conversation. "Rafe, I need your help with something that's been eating away at me," Steve began, his voice carrying the weight of sleepless nights and moral dilemmas. The baby Tesoro situation had evolved from a simple custody matter into something far more complex and potentially devastating. Steve's investigative instincts had led him down a rabbit hole of possibilities, each more troubling than the last. As Steve attempted to dance around the sensitive subject, Rafe's sharp detective instincts immediately zeroed in on the heart of the matter. "You're talking about Tate Black, aren't you?" Rafe interjected, his voice steady but his eyes reflecting the gravity of the implications. The young black heir had unknowingly become the center of a paternity storm that could reshape Salem's social dynamics. Steve's shoulders sagged in a mixture of relief and apprehension as he realized there was no point in continued subterfuge. The experienced commissioner had connected the dots with alarming precision, understanding that the timing, circumstances, and behavioral patterns all pointed toward the teenage son of Salem's most prominent families being potentially involved in an adult situation far beyond his comprehension. The Brady family crisis unfolds. Meanwhile, across town in the dimly lit confines of the DiMera Mansion's guest wing, Brady Black found himself grappling with his own family emergency. The ornate Victorian furniture and oil paintings seemed to mock his current predicament as he attempted to maintain some semblance of normalcy for his daughter Rachel while dealing with Kristen's latest manipulative schemes. The phone conversation with his mother had been emotionally charged, filled with the kind of raw vulnerability that Brady rarely allowed himself to display. Rachel, with her innocent eyes wide with concern, had watched her father's emotional walls crumble as he promised to discuss visiting arrangements that would allow some healing between the fractured family members. When Brady thrust the phone into Rachel's small hands, the weight of adult responsibility seemed almost too much for the young girl to bear. Her voice trembled as she spoke with Marlena, offering apologies for the worry she had inadvertently caused and promising to be more considerate of others' feelings in the future. The conversation revealed the mature wisdom that often develops in children caught between warring parents. Brady's subsequent confrontation with Kristen erupted with the force of years of pent-up frustration and betrayal. His voice echoed through the mansion's marble corridors as he accused her of manipulating their daughter's emotions for her own twisted purposes. The argument reached a crescendo before Brady stormed out, leaving behind a trail of unresolved anger and the promise of future battles over Rachel's well-being. Rafe's reluctant investigation. The Hernandez household had transformed into an unexpected hub of activity as various Salem residents found themselves drawn into the unfolding drama. Javi's animated conversation with Leo in the living room provided a stark contrast to the serious nature of Rafe's official duties, yet the domestic warmth offered a brief respite from the mounting tension surrounding the Tesoro situation. Rafe's agreement to babysit Tesoro while others attended to their evening plan seemed innocent enough on the surface, but the underlying purpose cast a shadow over what should have been a simple favor. The timing couldn't have been more perfect for Steve's clandestine request, creating an opportunity that both men knew might not present itself again. In the familiar comfort of the Hernandez kitchen, with its warm yellow walls and family photos, Rafe found himself participating in what felt like a betrayal of trust. The oversized cotton swab seemed almost comically inappropriate for such a delicate task, and Rafe couldn't help but wonder if a simple strand of hair might have been less invasive and equally effective for DNA testing purposes. As Rafe gently swabbed the sleeping infant's mouth, he was struck by the innocence of the child who had become the unwitting center of a paternity investigation that could destroy multiple families. The baby's peaceful expression contrasted sharply with the turmoil that would inevitably follow once the test results were revealed, regardless of the outcome. High school drama intensifies. The hallways of Salem High School buzzed with the typical energy of students transitioning between classes, but an undercurrent of tension surrounded the notable absence of one of the school's most prominent students. Holly Jonas and Johnny D. Mera, both keenly attuned to the social dynamics of their peer group, immediately recognized that Tate Black's mysterious disappearance from his regular routine signaled something significant was amiss. Their after-school rendezvous in the student parking lot, surrounded by the familiar sounds of car engines and teenage chatter, took on an investigative quality as they compared notes about Tate's unusual behavior patterns. Holly's intuitive nature had picked up on subtle changes in Rachel's demeanor during their recent interactions, suggesting a connection between the two situations that warranted further exploration. The decision to seek out Rachel for answers demonstrated Holly's growing maturity and her willingness to insert herself into potentially complicated family dynamics for the sake of her friends. Her determination to uncover the truth reflected the kind of loyalty and protective instinct that often develops among Salem's younger generation when they sense their loved ones are in trouble. Meanwhile, in a secluded corner of the school's courtyard, Tate found himself engaged in an increasingly desperate attempt to extract information from Sophia, whose nervous energy practically radiated anxiety. Her deer-in-headlights expression suggested she possessed knowledge that could potentially impact multiple lives, yet her obvious reluctance to speak indicated the information came with significant risks. Tate's promises not to react with anger or judgment reflected his growing awareness that adult situations often require mature responses, even when the revelations might be personally devastating. His persistent but gentle questioning technique demonstrated the communication skills he had inherited from his family's legacy of handling delicate interpersonal situations. The sudden appearance of Holly at this crucial moment created a triangle of tension that would inevitably force all three teenagers to confront truths they might have preferred to keep buried. The timing of her arrival suggested that the secrets surrounding baby Tesoro and the various family crises were about to explode into the open, with consequences that would ripple through Salem's interconnected community for weeks to come. The convergence of these multiple storylines promised to deliver the kind of dramatic revelations that have made Days of Our Lives a cornerstone of daytime television, where family secrets, paternity questions, and teenage complications intertwine to create compelling human drama that resonates with viewers across generations.